Are you tired of putting in long hours studying only to feel like you've retained almost nothing? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to give you a brand new playbook for learning. It's all about studying smarter, not harder. Let's jump right in. We've all been there, right? You read an entire page, your eyes pass over every single word, but the moment you close the book and try to remember what it said, poof, it's gone. It's honestly one of the most frustrating feelings when you're trying to learn. But here is the good news, and I really want you to hear this. It's not you. It's not a bad memory, and it's definitely not because you aren't trying hard enough. The real issue is almost always the method you're using. You just need a better strategy. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to upgrade your learning skills by focusing on two incredibly powerful tools that go hand in hand. First, how to actually read and understand stuff. And second, how to take notes that help you lock it in for good. Okay, first up, let's power up your reading. This is ground zero for pretty much any kind of learning. The goal here is to stop being a passive passenger, just letting words wash over you, and become an active, engaged driver of your own learning. So how do we do that? Well, there are 4 key strategies we're going to focus on. Previewing the text, making inferences, asking questions, and making connections. Don't worry, we're going to break down exactly what each of these means. All right. Strategy 1 is to preview. I want you to think of this like looking at a map before you start a road trip. Before you dive deep into reading, just take a minute. Seriously, 60 seconds is plenty to scan the headings, look at pictures or any bolded text, and glance over lists. This gives your brain a little sneak peek, a framework for what's coming, and that little bit of prep makes a huge difference in your focus and understanding. Next up, let's talk about making inferences. This is where you get to be a bit of a detective. You're taking clues from what you're reading and combining them with stuff you already know to figure out what the text isn't saying directly. It's like this simple formula. What you know plus what you learn equals what you can infer. This isn't just about reading words on a page. It's about reading between the lines. Being an active reader means you got to be curious, and a great way to fuel that curiosity is by asking questions. There are 2 main types. You've got your closed-ended questions, your who, what, when, where. These are fantastic for just checking if you're remembering the basic facts. But for deeper thinking, you need to ask open-ended questions, the hows and whys. These are the ones that push you past simple memorization and into real understanding. And the final piece of the active reading puzzle is making connections. This is the glue that makes new information stick in your brain. You want to constantly be asking yourself, how does this relate to my life? Does this remind me of another book I read or a movie I saw? And how does this connect to what's going on in the world right now? When information feels relevant to you, it becomes way more memorable. Okay, so you've just actively read something and you actually get it. That's awesome, huge win. But how do you make sure all that hard-earned knowledge doesn't just evaporate by next week? Well, that brings us to the second tool in our toolkit, the art of taking notes that actually work. And if you need proof that a good system works, get this. This quote is from a story about a law student named Sam. Because he had a solid system for taking and reviewing his notes, he said that final exams were one of the least stressful times for him. Can you imagine? That's the kind of power we're talking about here. So, what's a system that can do that? Well, one of the most famous and effective systems out there is the Cornell method. It was actually developed way back in the 1950s by an education professor at Cornell University, and the reason it's still so popular is because it is brilliantly simple and it just flat out works. Here's what the layout looks like. You just divide your page into 3 sections. You've got this big main column on the right. That's where you take your notes while you're reading. Then there's a smaller column on the left. We call that the Q column. That's for keywords or questions. And finally, that little space at the very bottom, that's for a quick 1 or 2 sentence summary of everything on that page. And using it is just as simple. First, you just take your notes like normal in that main column. Afterward, you go back and pull out the main ideas and write them as questions or keywords in the left column. Then you write that quick summary at the bottom. But here it is. This is the magic step, review. You cover up the main notes on the right and try to answer the questions or explain the keywords from your Q column. This is a powerful technique called active recall, and it forces your brain to retrieve information, not just passively look at it. And that's how you build really strong, long-lasting memories. So, there you have it. You've got active reading strategies to make sure you understand the material, and you have the Cornell method to make sure you remember it. This isn't just a list of tips. This is a complete playbook for becoming a more effective learner. So let's do a quick recap of your brand new study skills upgrade. From now on, you're going to preview before you read, you're going to infer to read between the lines, you'll question everything to go deeper, you'll connect what you're learning to your own world, and you'll capture all that knowledge using the Cornell method to turn your notes into a powerful study tool. So here's my final question for you. Don't feel like you have to do all of this at once. Just pick one thing. What is one chapter, one article, or one assignment you have this week where you could try out just one of these new skills? Start small. You'll be amazed at the difference it can make.